Hello. So today I have with me my friend Anna Odrynska from AlphaServe. Anna is a Chief Strategy Officer, and AlphaServe is an Atlassian Platinum partner, ServiceNow Technology partner, and Zendesk Tech Alliance partner. Anna is based in Kiev, Ukraine. So thank you so much for having the time for a call.
Hey, thanks for inviting. It's really a pleasure for me. You've made a pretty good presentation of what we do. I hope that today we'll have a wonderful time and a calm interview.
Yes, thank you. So last time we had to postpone because of the bombings that were taking place. How is the situation now? How are you feeling? How are things?
Living in the war is, I would say, complicated and somehow exhausted. And day differs, one day differs from another. This week we have more or less calm. But honestly, work is something that helps us a lot to stay concentrated, to stay alive, let's say so. That is why work is something that keeps us going ahead. And that is why we continue doing business. We never stop the operations at AlphaServe, though we have the major part of the team here. We had it before the war. We had several people working from abroad. Now we have 2 more people working from abroad, the ladies who moved to another countries, but the major part is in Ukraine. We relocated the office from Mykolaiv because it was destroyed in summer, unfortunately. And since July, we have office in Kiev, where I'm at the moment talking to you from. So we try to somehow adapt to the situation, to stay alive, to stay strong, and to continue doing what we can do. We have 3 developers from our team who are in the military forces since March of last year. So they're protecting us, and thanks to such guys like those our colleagues, we are able to continue doing business. And this is what we do. This is what we can do from our side as civil people.
Yes, thank you for sharing this. So going back to AlphaServe, AlphaServe is also like within the integration business as Getint. So maybe in your own words, you can tell us more about what AlphaServe does. What is the best product that you currently have? How can you help the customers using Jira and all other software types that you support?
Yes, sure. So our core expertise is the BI connector sphere. So we provide BI connectors for professional software. For example, PowerBI connector for Jira connects Jira to PowerBI. PowerBI connector for ServiceNow connects ServiceNow to PowerBI, etc. So we have different connectors in our portfolio. Generally, they allow to connect professional software used by the company with professional BI tools for business analytics. And these are the integrations which we provide. So our target is to allow users have user-friendly and easy to use integration tool. So not to spend time on technical setup, but to spend time on business analytics.
And all of them are available within the marketplaces of the tools they are supporting, right? So there you have Jira apps, ServiceNow apps, and so on. Okay.
Exactly. So we, as a vendor, we operate on several platforms.
Oh, yes, exactly. Yeah. So what also makes our conversations with customers quite similar is that you can't just integrate, usually you can't just integrate the tool one-to-one because you have to respect the differences between the tools. So I was wondering how your conversations look with your customers, what they are struggling with when integrating, let's say, Power BI with Jira or anything else, how they should prepare to just do it. Maybe you can share a bit.
Yes, I can. So the difference from yours is that we don't integrate similar platforms, but the approach is the same. The technical part is less complex because there are integration solutions available like our apps, but the main work is done on the business part, because to prepare for the integration, the company needs to exactly know their reporting requests. So which reports they want to build, what is the process, what is their business process, and what information can be found. And of course, they need to know the for example, the data model of Jira. So to be able to build a report, even if you have an integration setup, you need to know which data you need from Jira, because you need to pick it up from there. You need to select exactly what you need, and you need to be sure that the report that you built reflects exactly what you are looking for. So you can then make decisions based on these reports. And in terms of our customers, when they get ready to the integration, of course, they need to know one of the points that they need to know the implementation process. So they ask a lot of questions in terms of how to set up the application, for example. They ask if there are any additional costs that may acquire, what for do they have to pay, how much data sources they can make inside, are there any limits or other features that are not included in the normal price. And the most common question, for example, from Atlassian users is, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, something like, okay, I have 1,000 people in Jira and only 5 business analysts. So why do I have to pay for your application for 1,000 users? But these are rules of Atlassian, and this is the common question. In addition, related to our product, they are always, the major part of customers are always interested in the data safety, in data privacy, in data security. So if their data would be transferred somewhere, where is it stored? Do we have access to it? Do we collect something? So these are the basic questions, what they ask. And of course, all of them are interested in the support, because when you plan the integration, you want to make sure that you have someone whom you can turn to if you have any issues. And when you select the solution for the integration as a customer, of course, they pay attention to the reliability of the vendor. Is there any support provided? What customers are there? What company is it? They need to know, as integration is a complicated part, especially for big businesses. They need to adjust all processes, set up everything, train their people and all that stuff. And the switch from one integration solution to another is challenging for them, because it's resource consuming and time consuming, and it has direct impact on business operations. That's why they prefer to select reliable integration. So to be sure that several years ahead, these solutions still be supported, there still be vendor behind, team behind, and that it will still stay reliable, that they can rely on it.
Mm-hmm. So even though we talk to slightly different people, because we usually talk to the more technical people, to DevOps engineers and stuff, it looks like the challenges are quite similar. First, you need to understand the organization, you need to understand the scope of the project, and then the implementation of this needs into the tool itself. It's in both your tool and ours quite easy, right? But first you need to understand the business, right? And
I would also add here what is important in terms of your solution and our solution from the customer perspective. When you select the add-on or a ready solution from someone, the scope of project has less steps, because you do not need to support it. It's done by the vendor. You do not need to adjust all the documentation every time. So the further support after the integration is set up and the people start using it, all the rest lies on the shoulders of the vendors. And this is what you actually pay for. And that's also important, because when you do the integration by yourself with your own resources and you do not select the solutions from the marketplace, it's also an option, and a lot of customers do this.
Like, you mean the custom development, the eternal custom development?
Yes, yes. There are a lot of companies which prefer this option, and that's okay for sophisticated requests especially. But in this case, the project scope is larger, because after the implementation, you need to support it, to release updates, to update documentation, to teach people if there is something not working. And there is always something that you need to add, which was not included.
Someone may leave the company, and then you have a problem.
Yeah. So it's the scopes differ, between ready solutions and custom solutions. That's why this is also something that needs to be taken into consideration. And not always companies remember about this.
Did you had a chance that a customer at first chosen the custom development because they thought that it's too expensive, or they exactly had the same question that why should I pay like for the Jira 10,000 if my team is only, let's say, 100 people? So I'm going to do custom development, and then in the end, I should have chosen your tool.
You know, there are different situations, but one of the common ones is when the users come to the marketplace, they see that there are apps, they start to trial it. And then they think, oh, it's paid and I have only 5 business analysts. Let's think about custom solutions. They start to develop it, and then they face some bottlenecks like API limits, pagination, and all that stuff. And then they say, okay, I will pay for it once.
Yes.
And someone will do it for me, and I will. And it's actually, it is the main idea of the automation and integration itself. So the soft skills of the people, this is something that cannot be replaced by computers. And from this perspective, it's more valuable for the business to devote time and resources to analytics itself, for example, or into working into systems. So to do something that brings value or revenue to the business, and not do the technical part. So why should you spend 80% of time on technical setup and integration and 20% of your time on analytics itself? So it's better to do it vice versa. And this is what the integrations were invented, let's say so. And it's their core value to allow businesses focus on their business tasks and business operations, and let integrations and software do the rest for you.
Yes. So I see the things in exactly the same manner. That sometimes it's easy to just get an external solution, get it up and running within, let's say, minutes or hours or even days. But then you don't care. It just works. You can just get the benefit of having the access to the data. In your case, probably like visualize this and having a lot of insights, making decisions based on them, instead of like writing up the scope, then developing this, then supporting this, then making adjustments, and then 6 months from now, and in many cases, probably you may have nothing, right? Instead of having a tool.
This is what you just said. It's also one thing to consider when planning integration. So when you'll be able to start, because if you choose to develop yourself, you need to plan it, to prepare. So as you just said, but with a ready solution, you can start instantly. And for some businesses, this is very sensitive, because nowadays, who runs quicker? Then the business is more effective in this case. So for some businesses, it is really decisive to save time and to start earlier, because in 6 months they will be much more ahead. And if they choose to develop the solutions in 6 months, they will be just on the starting point.
Yeah,
and that's also common for us, I think.
Yeah. Also, like what I see is that you post a lot of content on your blog. So if you didn't have a chance to check on this, go to Alpha Server blog. There is a lot of content. And one of the posts that I saw was the comparison about the ITSM tools. And you operate on different marketplaces, as we mentioned, like there's Zendesk, ServiceNow, there's Jira. So how do you see like those companies working with those? How do you see the differences between those tools? Who is using what? How they migrate between those? What is your experience here?
I can say from the vendor's perspective, so the customers are really different. So this is exactly the good example when market is divided based on the user requests. ServiceNow is a more complicated tool. It's much more difficult to integrate and implement in the company compared to Jira or Zendesk. And normally there are bigger companies who are using this system. There are enterprises with thousands of people inside, and they have more complex processes. They have everything documented, and they are very slow. So this, from what I see, this software is good enough for big companies. It's properly what they need, because they have their own velocity, they have their own processes, and ServiceNow can be customized however you need it. So this is limitless customization is something that is really a value for such companies. And in terms of Jira, it is also used. We have customers which purchase licenses for 10,000 users for the application. So I cannot say that Jira has only small and medium business. No, it's also a very popular tool. And I must say that Jira Service Management, Jira ITSM, is now moving into the
enterprise level customers.
Yes. So they're pushing it a lot, and I'm sure that ServiceNow is a little bit concerned already about this, because they start to feel it, as Atlassian's focus is there definitely. But Jira is much the same as Zendesk. Jira is much more easier to start. It also can be customized, and for teams not having complex and documented processes, Jira can provide the process inside. So it is so easy to use, to start using, and there are exact phases there that if you don't have any process behind, you can just start using it, and the Jira will provide the process for you. And this is, in my perspective, the benefit of this tool. And in terms of Zendesk, one of the features which differs Zendesk from Jira is that they have CRM in their ecosystem. And of course, normally if companies need CRM as a basis for their business and they're using Zendesk as a CRM, it's very interesting for them to use Zendesk to have all this, to have a single view on the customer's interactions. And Jira doesn't have it as a separate product. So Jira is more for project management and process management, and Zendesk can offer not only ITSM but also the customer management side. But at the same time, it's also easy to start. It's like a subscription model, the same like Jira Cloud. So it's something easier to start with.
That makes me think about the question about the strength of the marketplace as a factor to choose this solution, because you mentioned very interesting topics that sometimes if this is the CRM as a part of the ecosystem, then probably Zendesk is a solution. If there is a customization, probably a ServiceNow is a way to go. Jira has also like a very big ecosystem with a lot of applications, with Confluence, with like plenty of different solutions. So what do you think are the factors, the things that a company should consider while thinking about the solution to use?
In my understanding and in my opinion, the company should think in a long run. So while selecting a tool and paying for it, of course, it's not only that you just need to solve some issues now. You need to think in a several years perspective of where you see your business. And here you need to define the primary processes which you want to digitalize and to optimize with software, whether it's project management or development process, or it's business process, or it's customer management, which is primary for your business, or it's the support service which you provide to your customers. So on the first step is to consider the core process which you want to digitalize, but thinking ahead for several years, which more processes approximately would you need to add? And from this perspective, you should then decide which tools to include, because if you don't ever need a CRM right now, or it's not more like, okay, all of us work with customers, but you may have other options how to manage it. And so and that's why, depending on your focus, you need to select the software. And of course, the budget is also an issue here, because if we are talking about ServiceNow, the price is completely different. And Jira, for example, is free for 10 users. So it's you can start for free. Yeah, you can start for free if you are a small team. So taking into consideration the platforms, I would suggest to think of the processes which the companies want to see in the software, the further plans for several years, and of course the budget. And then the need, one more thing, the need in customization in terms of how sophisticated and specific processes do you have. Because this is also, it's always additional budget. And in this case, if you have them sophisticated and you need to customize a lot, you need to select the tool, which on one hand offers easy customization. So on the first step, you can customize by yourself or with minimum external efforts. And the tool needs to be able to provide you features for customization that you need. And of course, one more thing to think about when selecting the software is the other software which you are already using or you plan to use, to check for the integration. Because this is the compatibility of software's data sources is very important. As much you can integrate, the better and the more transparent the work would be and the information for as a business input would be.
So again, the strength of the ecosystem and the possibility to integrate everything that you need within the systems or the processes that you have internally. Yeah, so the flexibility as well. Right. So the next question would be about the migration of the data. What do you think that people should be aware of? Do you have like such a cases that a person was using, let's say, a Power BI with Jira connector, and now they would like to switch to ServiceNow and they somehow would like to maintain the data, or they were using in Jira and now have insights from ServiceNow? How?
Well, the main migration topics which we face are related to migration within one ecosystem from server to cloud or vice versa. We see that there are customers which are using both ServiceNow and Jira. So they have selected different software for different processes, and that's okay. And that is actually the reason why they search for such solutions as ours, because they need to somehow tie them together to make the most of both software, to integrate it, and to be able to take data from each of them and to prepare common reports, not to do it separately in ServiceNow or and in Jira. So the main issue on migration is not to migrate from one system to another, more to either to integrate or to migrate from one hosting option to another. But the main point in terms of migration is to find out the differences between the systems and to find a way to align those differences to make sure that you transfer everything you need and get in the new place, let's say, so everything you need. Another thing is to reconsider the processes, because when you're migrating, it's the proper moment to optimize something or to improve something or to start doing something new. To reflect these new processes in the new system, and of course the data quality. So as long as you transfer the data from one system to another, you need to make sure that you have taken everything what you need, and you migrate it accordingly. So the right information is in the right place in the new system.
Okay.
And testing and preparation is the best advice. So and the backup.
We usually say to the customers that the migrations doesn't happen overnight, and you need more or less 3 months for everything.
Yeah, you need to prepare.
It what happened, like even within the week, sometimes it's challenging to migrate everything. You just need the good preparations are the best thing that may happen in this case. All right, so. You also mentioned that when a company is thinking about the integration, they usually have a lot of possibilities to go with. Obviously, there is a custom development, but there is a lot of companies providing similar services, more or less. So then it all comes down to what should be the factor when choosing the right partner for the integration, assuming that obviously like cost is one of the factors, but probably some other things are more important, like the continuity of the business and other things. So what are your clients, your companies looking at when thinking about working with a reliable vendor?
The first thing that needs to be considered is to make sure that the product is exactly what you need. But if we assume that this is done, of course, it's important to select the proper contractor. And the thing that normally companies pay attention to, because we have asked this question to our customers, how do you choose what you take into consideration? And what they say, what is important? First point is the product documentation. So if a vendor provides clear, understandable, readable, structured documentation, it is important, because when the companies implement your solution, they need to inform all their team members about it. They need to train them, to teach them how to use it. And if a vendor provides professional documentation, it takes part of job from the customer. So you can just share the documentation and say, okay, this is the user guide, take a look how to use this app, and ask questions if you have. The second point is the support. If there is customer support from the vendor side, if there is a place where you can turn to asking your question, and how quick will you get the answer, and will you generally get it? So if the app is supported in terms of customer support, does the vendor provide live demos? Is it possible to make a live session, to gather all the team members which relate to the product, and let them ask their questions? So the customer support generally, and the live support is something that is really important for the customers. And this is one of the factors that they consider. Of course, they read reviews. And because it helps to understand which problems normally people solve about it with the product, and they can sometimes they can see definitely their use case in one of the reviews and understand that okay, this seems like this product is a proper fit. One more point is the security part. Each marketplace provides special programs where vendors can participate, initiatives, badges, and all this stuff. And this is something that companies also consider, because, of course, marketplace has its own requirements. And if a vendor joins and complies with these requirements, is the first green flag. So it looks like this vendor has some security processes and takes care of it. Well, one more thing that is important: how often is the releases done? Okay. It can be found on the marketplace, almost on every marketplace, the versions of products. So is the product constantly supported? Are there new releases? So it means that the team is continuing to work on the product, on improving it. Not only fixing bugs, but also implementing new features, improving UI or whatever. So this is a good signal that the product is constantly supporting, that the team continues to work on it.
That it's alive.
This relates to reliability part. Yeah, so it looks like this product is live, the company continues to work, and most probably they will continue doing it in the next few years. So it's good for the customer to see. Some customers pay attention to media presence. So what do people normally say about this company? Who is the management? What are the employees' reviews and all that stuff? So taking care about your reputation and presence in media is also good. Because sometimes companies just don't care about this. There is no information about the company in the internet, and it also can be strange for the customer. So if there is nothing, it also can be confusing. That is why it's good to invest in the website, in some social media where you can see that what the company is living, what they're doing, some company news or some new features released, or as you mentioned, the content posting is there, some partnerships, whatever. So the basic presence in terms of social media and the website is obligatory in my opinion, because companies also search. They do their own vendor assessment, and this can bring you some more points if you are transparent and visible in the web.
Yeah, there was a lot of points, and I think all of them are equally important. Yeah, but thanks to this answer, I think that it would be easier for companies to assess what is the right part and what is the part that maybe you should double check and consider. Okay, so thank you very much for sharing all those interesting stories and insights. So now we know more about the integrations related to data and Power BI and Tableau. I guess those are the two most common cases. Yeah, so thank you very much, Anna.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure to talk to you. And I hope that the people who will watch this video will find some valuable points for them.
I'm sure they will. Thank you.